Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make a Google Classroom and get your students to join, as well as post your first assignment to Google Classroom. So we're going to take a look at multiple ways that you can access Google Classroom. The first is from the waffle over here. If you click on Classroom, that will take you there. You can also go into the browser and just type in classroom.google.com, and that's going to take you right to your Google Classroom. And as you can see, mine already has a number of classes set up on it, and I'm going to just show you how to add your own new one. So if you're going to go to Google Classroom, you see the plus sign in the upper corner over here. That will allow you to either create or join a class, and that's going to be useful for your students once we go to add them to the classroom. So first we need to create our class. You're going to give your class a name, so I'm going to call this biology in whatever period it is, 7, and then you can put in subject if you'd like. It'll just help to create the classroom for you, and a room number. I don't typically use a room number, but that's something you can do if you'd like to do that. And then you're just going to click create. And as you can see, it will build a classroom for you, and it'll give you a background based on whatever subject you are putting in there. You can customize this at any point in time. You can change the color. You can upload a picture by clicking on this button right here. But I'm just going to leave it as the default for right now because that matches our topic. Once you've got your classroom created, you are going to want to ask your students to join your classroom. And so the way that I typically do that is I scroll down a little bit here, and you can see there's a class code. So when the students come into class on the first day, I will typically post this code up in front of the classroom like this and ask them to join. You could also invite them via email. That's a little bit more time consuming on your part. You could also invite them on the people page here as well. So what students will do when you post this code is they will go to Classroom, and they will click that little plus button that you just clicked to make your classroom, and they will click join class, and they'll just enter this code in, and it will join them automatically to your class, and you'll see them start to pop up on the people page as they do that. The next thing that I'm going to show you how to do is to add an assignment to Classroom. So if you go to classwork here, this is where your assignments will be located, and where you'll assign work, where you'll review their work and check their assignments for grades. So you're going to go to create up here. When you do, there's a number of different choices that you can pick. So you can pick an assignment, you can post a quiz, just a question for students to answer, or a material that's something that you have that they have access to but you don't want them to edit. So for today, I'm just going to click on assignment. And when you do, it's going to ask you for a title. So this is going to be their introduction to class slides. So they're going to introduce themselves to me, making a slide about themselves. So you're going to then pick your title, and if you want to add an attachment, which I'm going to do, you're going to click on Drive right here. And what will typically happen is it will populate a list of either recent things that you posted or things that you can find right from your Drive. If you click on here, you can find things in your own personal Drive. But I recently was looking at this document, so it's in my recent assignments. So I'm going to click on here, introduce yourself, and I'm just going to click add. Now this is a really important step in the process because I've made this mistake myself many times. There's a couple of options when you post a document for how you want to give it to the students. So you can either have them just view the file. That's if I have something that I just want them to use as reference, I'll use that. You can also have them edit a file. This would be useful if you're having them sign up for an assignment for a particular part of an assignment, and you want everyone to be able to access the same document. So I don't use that one too often. Much more regularly is this is what I use, make a copy for each student. So I would hit that button. And that means that when you post the assignment, each student will get their own attachment that only they can see and only you can see, and no other students have access to. I will usually write a little blurb here that tells them what to do. For this one, I'm just going to say, please see the first slide for directions, because in the assignment itself, it tells them what to do. And so instead of rewriting that, I'll just put that there. Over here on the right, you're going to see which class you want to assign it to. You can actually assign it to multiple classes at once. So if you click on the period, you can see that I could click my other classes and assign it to them as well, but I'm just going to stick to this one because this is our class that we're working on. Below that, you can see that you have an option to either assign it to all students or groups of students. Now, I don't have any students in this class right now, but if you did, you could pick various students to be in a group, and they might get one assignment and other students might get a different one. That's really helpful. Right beneath that is when you're going to have your due date. So if I were to, let's say, assign this today, I would give them a couple days to do it. So that would, let's say, maybe be the 24th. And then once you hit OK, it's going to give you an optional time. So depending on the assignment, sometimes I will have it due at a specific time. If you don't click on anything, the default is 11:59 p.m. So I'm going to leave it at that for right now. Right beneath that, there is a topic. I tend to organize my assignments in Google Classroom by topic. And so there's no topic in there right now, so I would say create a topic. And this would be introduction in class materials. And so I would post things like their syllabus and the lab safety contract in this section of their classwork page. Below that is some stuff about grading. I don't typically use Google Classroom for grading purposes to keep my grades aligned, but you can set categories and give points and put your grading period, like marking period, in there. But again, I don't really do that. And there is an option for a rubric, but for this assignment, it's not necessary. So I'm going to scroll back up. I'm going to click here. Up here is where you would actually post the assignment. Now you could choose to post it later, schedule it. You could save it as a draft so you can still edit it again later on. For now, I'm just going to click assign and it'll pop up immediately in our classwork page. So as you can see here, my topic is up at the top. Here's my assignment. It shows a due date for the students. And then when you are ready to review this assignment, you would just click on it and you could click on how many students turned it in, how many students it is still assigned to, in other words, who has not turned it in, and then you could click through their work. I typically will go through their assignment pretty much the next day after it is due to make sure that people have turned it in and things like that. And then once you can return the work, which you would have to look at having students in there first. So going back now to the stream, which was the kind of like your home page, that assignment will also show up here if you want it to. You can change that setting. If you don't want it to show up there, you can change the settings in that little cog up on the side. And there's lots of stuff here that you can, change and move around so that way you can change how your personal classroom looks. I typically take away from the stream that only teachers can post on the stream because, again, sometimes students get a little bit silly on there and post things that they shouldn't be posting. And then over here, I also hide notifications about assignments on the stream. I usually use the stream for just typically announcements. So if I click save, now you'll see that that is no longer here, but I would typically use this for announcements like welcome to biology period 7. And then you'll see that would post there. So I'll use that for like if I'm going to be absent, I'll post that there. There are many, many features of Google Classroom that are not shown in this quick little tutorial, but it's something you kind of have to use and play with to kind of get your best feel. Okay? All right. Have a great day.